Hi, I'm Department of Buildings Commissioner Rick Chandler, reminding New Yorkers to always observe safety precautions on and near construction sites. The department works every day to educate construction professionals to employ best safety practices. Every New Yorker can play a role in keeping our city safe by reporting unsafe conditions. The department will follow up with an inspection. For more safety information, please visit nyc.gov and enter buildings in the search field.
This is Letitia James, New York City's public advocate. My office serves as a direct link between everyday New Yorkers and city government. Think of it as a watchdog that provides oversight for city agencies, investigates citizen complaints about city services, and makes policy recommendations. If you are in need of assistance and have had trouble getting through to 311, please call my office at 212-669-7250 or get help at pubadvocate.nyc.gov.
Remember, for more information about New York City government services, dial 311.
Hello, I'm Parks Commissioner Mitchell Silver. New York City Parks is fostering equity in our parks by creating thriving public spaces for all New Yorkers. The Community Parks Initiative is bringing that work to neighborhoods that need it most by investing more city resources, including funds, staff, recreational programming, and partnership building in 55 historically under-resourced communities. The Community Parks Initiative will engage New Yorkers in rebuilding their parks, including 35 playgrounds in the project's first phase. Our goal will create new reasons to get out and get fit, and to connect more of us to green spaces in our neighborhoods. For more information on the Community Parks Initiative, upcoming public meetings, and to find out how you can get involved, visit the New York City Parks website at nyc.gov/parks or call 311.
This is City Controller Scott Stringer. The Controller's Bureau of Law and Adjustment settles and adjusts claims filed for and against the city. 30,000 claims are filed every year, and we are working hard every day to process these claims in the most efficient way possible. You can file your claim online by visiting controller.nyc.gov and click on Forms and RFPs. There, you can also find helpful information and step-by-step instructions on how to file claims electronically or manually. If you've received notice that your case has been settled, please allow 90 days from the date the city receives your closing papers for payments to be processed and sent.
Remember, for more information about New York City government services, dial 311 or visit nyc.gov.
¿Trabaja o tiene empleados en la ciudad de Nueva York? El Departamento de Asuntos del Consumidor quiere informarles sobre la ley de ausencia laboral debido a enfermedad, la cual exige a la mayoría de los empresarios que les concedan a sus trabajadores permiso laboral por motivos de enfermedad, para cuidar de sí mismos o de algún familiar. Llame al 311 o visite nyc.gov/paid sick leave para saber si usted está amparado por esta ley. Nueva York trabaja mejor con el pago por ausencia laboral por enfermedad.
Hi, I'm Victor Calisi, Commissioner of the Mayor's Office for People with Disabilities. Are you a tenant with a disability? Do you receive federal assistance such as SSI or SSDI? If you live in a rent-regulated apartment and earn $50,000 a year or less, you may be able to freeze your rent. Contact 311 or visit nyc.gov/rent-freeze to learn more about the New York City Rent Freeze program.
Remember, for more information about New York City government services, dial 311.
We all deserve respect and dignity. I'm Carmelyn P. Malalis, Commissioner and Chair of the New York City Commission on Human Rights. We help fight discrimination in housing, employment, and public accommodations, and educate the public on the city's human rights law. If you believe you've been discriminated against or are interested in learning about rights and obligations under the law, call 311 or visit nyc.gov/cchr. Together, we can build a more just and equitable city.
I'm Stephen Banks, Commissioner of the Human Resources Administration, or HRA. For many families and individuals, it can be a challenge making ends meet. If you need help getting healthy and nutritious food, go online to foodhelp.nyc or call 311 to learn more about SNAP benefits or to find local community kitchens and food pantries. It's never been easier to apply for food help. Start by visiting foodhelp.nyc.
Trees count. Can we count on you? Hello, I'm Parks Commissioner Mitchell Silver. Trees Count 2015 is recruiting volunteers to map the street trees along every single block in 2015 from May through November. Trees are an integral part of New York City's landscape and provide essential benefits such as clean air and water. We need your help to record the most accurate tree census ever taken in New York City. Register online to become a volunteer and help us gather the information we need about your local trees. Visit nyc.gov/parks/trees count or call 311.
Remember, for more information about New York City government services, dial 311 or visit nyc.gov.
This is New York City Public Advocate Letitia James, here to tell you that New York City's senior centers offer aging New Yorkers not only spaces to socialize, but free fitness training, healthcare information, and other useful programs and services built to help optimize their health, well-being, and ability to live independently. Senior centers additionally provide nutritious meals, as well as foreclosure and other financial assistance. For more information, please contact Department for the Aging by calling 311 or visiting nyc.gov/311.
Hi, I'm Jacques Giha, Commissioner of the Department of Finance. Are you 62 or older? If you live in a rent-regulated apartment and earn $50,000 a year or less, you may be able to freeze your rent. Contact 311 or visit nyc.gov/rentfreeze. Relais 311 pour joindre plus d'informations sur le programme Municipalité Ville New York qui empêche prix loyer ou augmenter.
Remember, for more information about New York City government services, dial 311.
I'm City Controller Scott Stringer. As the city's chief financial watchdog, it's my job to root out waste, fraud, and abuse in city government. And I need your help. If you know of someone ripping off the taxpayers, of city property being wasted or misused, please let me know by making an anonymous call to 212-NO-WASTE. That's 212-669-2783. Thank you.
This is Manhattan Borough President Gail Brewer. Spring is here, and that means that bicycles are out again in force. So it's worth reminding everyone, cyclists, motorists, and pedestrians alike, to pay attention and follow the rules of the road. Cyclists should ride in the street, not sidewalks. Ride with traffic, not against it, and observe all stop signs and traffic lights. This is Gail Brewer asking you to ride safely in Manhattan.
Remember, for more information about New York City government services, dial 311 or visit nyc.gov.
I'm Victor Calisi, Commissioner of the Mayor's Office for People with Disabilities. Our office works to assure that people with disabilities can enjoy the rich opportunities our city has to offer. This includes the freedom to travel throughout New York City, a right most of us take for granted. For people with disabilities, traveling around the city can become a challenge when drivers fail to follow basic parking rules. Parking spaces designated for people with disabilities ensure equal access to goods and services. Parking without a permit in a designated space or using a fake permit is illegal. For more information, dial 311.
Do you work in New York City? Do you employ anyone in New York City? I'm Julie Menon, the Commissioner of the Department of Consumer Affairs, and we want you to learn about the city's paid sick leave law, which requires most employers to allow sick leave so employees can care for themselves or a family member. Call 311 or visit nyc.gov/paid sick leave to find out if the law applies to you. New York City works better with paid sick leave.
Remember, for more information about New York City government services, dial 311 or visit nyc.gov.
Hi, I'm Department of Buildings Commissioner Rick Chandler, reminding New Yorkers to always observe safety precautions on and near construction sites. The department works every day to educate construction professionals to employ best safety practices. Every New Yorker can play a role in keeping our city safe by reporting unsafe conditions. The department will follow up with an inspection. For more safety information, please visit nyc.gov and enter buildings in the search field.
This is Letitia James, New York City's public advocate. My office serves as a direct link between everyday New Yorkers and city government. Think of it as a watchdog that provides oversight for city agencies, investigates citizen complaints about city services, and makes policy recommendations. If you are in need of assistance and have had trouble getting through to 311, please call my office at 212-669-7250 or get help at pubadvocate.nyc.gov.
Remember, for more information about New York City government services, dial 311.
Hello, I'm Parks Commissioner Mitchell Silver. New York City Parks is fostering equity in our parks by creating thriving public spaces for all New Yorkers. The Community Parks Initiative is bringing that work to neighborhoods that need it most by investing more city resources, including funds, staff, recreational programming, and partnership building in 55 historically under-resourced communities. The Community Parks Initiative will engage New Yorkers in rebuilding their parks, including 35 playgrounds in the project's first phase. Our goal will create new reasons to get out and get fit, and to connect more of us to green spaces in our neighborhoods. For more information on the Community Parks Initiative, upcoming public meetings, and to find out how you can get involved, visit the New York City Parks website at nyc.gov/parks or call 311.
This is City Controller Scott Stringer. The Controller's Bureau of Law and Adjustment settles and adjusts claims filed for and against the city. 30,000 claims are filed every year, and we are working hard every day to process these claims in the most efficient way possible. You can file your claim online by visiting controller.nyc.gov and click on Forms and RFPs. There, you can also find helpful information and step-by-step instructions on how to file claims electronically or manually. If you've received notice that your case has been settled, please allow 90 days from the date the city receives your closing papers for payments to be processed and sent.
Remember, for more information about New York City government services, dial 311 or visit nyc.gov.
¿Trabaja o tiene empleados en la ciudad de Nueva York? El Departamento de Asuntos del Consumidor quiere informarles sobre la ley de ausencia laboral debido a enfermedad, la cual exige a la mayoría de los empresarios que les concedan a sus trabajadores permiso laboral por motivos de enfermedad, para cuidar de sí mismos o de algún familiar. Llame al 311 o visite nyc.gov/paid sick leave para saber si usted está amparado por esta ley. Nueva York trabaja mejor con el pago por ausencia laboral por enfermedad.
Hi, I'm Victor Calisi, Commissioner of the Mayor's Office for People with Disabilities. Are you a tenant with a disability? Do you receive federal assistance such as SSI or SSDI? If you live in a rent-regulated apartment and earn $50,000 a year or less, you may be able to freeze your rent. Contact 311 or visit nyc.gov/rent-freeze to learn more about the New York City Rent Freeze program.
Remember, for more information about New York City government services, dial 311.
Well, we have an announcement today, and we're very proud to make it, but I first need to talk about the events in Charleston because I think they're rightfully weighing on all of us this morning. This was a absolutely troubling and heart-wrenching moment. The fact is that 9 innocent lives are lost. Our hearts go out to the people of Charleston. Our hearts go out to the members of the Emmanuel African Methodist Episcopal Church. We in this city feel the pain of people anywhere in this country, anywhere in this globe, because we're so connected to each and every part of the country and the world. There are so many people here who hail from South Carolina, and it's a very, very painful moment for all of us. I want everyone to know there's no place in New York City for this kind of hatred, and that we, through the NYPD, have increased our resources directed at protecting African American churches in this city as a precaution. The fact is, even though we don't know the whole story here, we have seen time and time again these types of horrific attacks motivated by bias. We've seen so many tragedies in our high schools and college campuses like this, so many related to mental health problems, so many mental health problems that in many cases were noticed and not acted upon. So there's a lot that we have to unravel here, and we can talk about it later on in this gathering. But we've got to take very seriously the fact that many of these tragedies occur, and there are warning signs that we can act on if we are more aggressive about dealing with the question of mental health and destigmatizing it, and opening up both the discussion and taking the actions we need on mental health in this city and in this country. So our prayers are with the families of those who are lost. Our prayers are with the members of that church and all of the people of Charleston today. Let's have a moment of silence for all of the victims. Thank you. In the midst of all that, it is good to remember some of the good things. And one of the great things about this city is this beautiful park, Prospect Park. And we can say the same. There's a fan right there. We can say the same about Central Park for sure. This park means so much to me and my family. And years ago, some of the people, in fact, standing around me helped educate me to the fact that we needed to do better in terms of making our parks places that were safe and available to all. And so when I ran for this office, I said my goal is to have parks that are free of regular vehicular traffic. And today we're taking a big step in that direction. I haven't even given you the details yet, but you can clap. Today, we're taking a big step to returning our parks to the people. And that's the whole idea to begin with. We're creating safe zones for kids to play in, for bikers, for joggers, for everyone to know that they will be safer and they can enjoy the park in peace. Starting on Monday, July 6th, the West Drive of Prospect Park Drive will be car-free. Now you can clap. And on Monday, June 29th, the entire Loop Drive north of 72nd Street in Central Park will be car-free. And this makes a majority of both parks car-free. These will be permanent changes, and they will significantly reduce traffic in the park and make them safer and quieter and more enjoyable. Let me just take a moment, because again, success has many fathers and mothers. Let me just take a moment to thank many of the people who are here for being with us today. Thanks to Sue Donahue, the Prospect Park Alliance president. Thanks to Paul White, the executive director of Transportation Alternatives. The inimitable Polly Trottenberg, our transportation commissioner. The very happy Mitchell Silver, our parks commissioner. Chief of Transportation for the NYPD, Thomas Chan, one of the leaders of our Vision Zero effort. NYPD Central Park Commanding Officer, Captain Christopher McIntosh. I say with bias, a great commander because he commands the 7-8 precinct, my own precinct, Captain Frank DiGiacomo. Eddie Falcon, the Deputy Inspector for NYC Parks Enforcement Patrol. Chair of the City Council Committee on Parks, Mark Levine. Councilmember Brad Lander representing this park. Councilmember Matthew Eugene. And there's a reason I'm not talking about the borough presidents, because they're going to speak in a moment. But they're great people. I'll say more when they speak. So, a lot of people have looked forward to this day and look forward to us taking further steps in the future. As I said, for my family, Prospect Park means so much. First of all, my family directly relates to Prospect Park because Charlene and I got married here in Prospect Park, which was a significant step forward for both Kiara and Dante. They both played here. They played Little League here. They played on all these playgrounds. I know them so well. And this park was our front yard, our backyard, so much of our life. And I think for so many New Yorkers, that's the common experience. But the challenge up to now has been that in a place such as Prospect Park, each weekday during the evening rush hour, over 200 vehicles an hour pass through this park, even more in Central Park. And in the evening rush hour in particular is when families are going to the park. It's after school. That's when people come here. And obviously on the weekends they're here in great numbers, but during the weekdays in particular, the time people come to the park is after school and as the day progresses. And that's when we've had too much traffic, and we've especially had a problem with that traffic being in the winter months during the hours when it was starting to get dark, which made it even more difficult. The pedestrians and bicyclists and motorists were all sharing the same basic space. We've got to end those concerns. We've got to make it better for all involved. With this action, this means the most car-free dedicated recreation spaces in these parks since cars were first allowed in the parks in 1899. This is the best we have done in 116 years, and we're very proud of that fact. Okay, thank you. I like that. I like your energy. So these parks were meant to be places of beauty and tranquility. We're taking a big step today to further fulfilling that vision. Quickly in Spanish, I want to get ahead of the rain here. En unas semanas, grandes secciones del Parque Central y Prospect Park serán cerradas al tránsito vehicular. Para los neoyorquinos, los parques son como los patios de nuestras casas. Esta iniciativa nos ayudará a disfrutar de los parques de una manera más segura, sin preocupaciones y con menos peligro para todos los visitantes. With that, a huge supporter of parks who's invested a lot of resources in parks all over Brooklyn, the borough president of Brooklyn, Eric Adams.
Thank you. Thank you. Great announcement. Thank you so much, Mayor, and thank you for all that push. And I just want to also add my voice quickly to what happened in Carolina. That was a terrorist act. And we're going to have an emergency meeting this afternoon with the members of the clergy in the boroughs to prepare ourselves and make sure that we don't have any copycats. Dealing with the park, we have a great prospect of moving closer to having a safe space to raise healthy children and families now that cars cannot drive or park in this great Prospect Park. I'm glad to be a partner in that. My capital dollars go to many of the parks in the borough. This is a special park for me. I did not get married here, but I did date a lot of my beautiful lady friends in this park. And so I look forward to not having to worry about the sound of a horn or racing cars. Our children should grow and thrive just like the trees and cross-pollinate in this beautiful park. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Good job, Len. I thought Gail Brewer was going to be with us, and she has been a huge supporter of car-free parks, but she, I guess, has a different engagement. So now we're going to hear from one more speaker, and I've known her a long time. She is a great leader in this community I call home. Susan Fox, founder of Park Slope Parents, an online parenting community of over 5,500 members. And let me just say, this is a rather active online community. You can spend all day and all night participating in this online community and do nothing else. Susan's, again, a great activist in this community, mother to longtime Park Sloper, lives just a couple blocks from the park, and she has been deeply involved in this effort to make sure that this park was safer for everyone. Susan Fox, I'm going to give you a little extra height, too. Look at that.
Oh, look at that.
You're taller.
Woo, look at that. Thanks. So Park Slope Parents discusses, as he said, everything from plumbers to pacifiers, breastfeeding to bullying. Street safety has been a large part of the discussion over the past 13 years, including safety in Prospect Park. Here are some comments from our members. Karen Fuller said, I sent my 13-year-old son to his soccer practice by bike through Prospect Park, only to my horror to discover that there were countless cars rapidly whizzing through the car lane adjacent to the bicycle lane. Or 2 weeks ago, Olivia Stevens said, I called 311 yesterday because a car exiting the park almost hit me and my stroller full of children. And my own daughter, Sabrina, runs on the local PS 107 track team, and they schedule running the loop so they don't have to run when there are cars present. So when there are cars present, there's like a tension in the air. Bike lanes crowd into the jogging lanes, and the whoosh of cars makes people nervous when they're trying to enjoy the park. This is such a welcome announcement and one step closer to Vision Zero. And the ripple effect is not only safety, it reduces both noise and air pollution, making the whole experience nicer. Thanks to the tireless efforts of the Prospect Park Alliance, Transportation Alternatives, Michael Ring and his petition, the CB6, the Park Slope Street Safety Partnership, Park Slope Neighbors, Brad Lander, then the Prospect Park Road Sharing Task Force, and the thousands of people who have signed petitions from Park Slope parents and beyond. Thankfully, we are one step closer to a totally free park. And thank you for Bill de Blasio, who pushed for a car-free park starting in 2002 when he was our local Brad Lander, and he has made it now happen. We no longer have to worry about cars rushing by after baseball and soccer practice. We can all feel safer, and we can all take a collective sigh of relief.
Thank you. Nicely done. Well done. Okay, we're going to take questions on this topic first, then we'll do off-topic. Yes?
Mr. Mayor, are you concerned at all with how this will affect traffic in surrounding neighborhoods?
No, I'm going to let Polly and or Chief Chan can speak to that as well. I think this has been very well calibrated based on a lot of study to ensure that there will be minimal traffic impact. This is something, as you just heard, I've been working on for a decade, and we used to have very real concerns, and this has gone in stages. But as we've gone through the stages, I think we've all been very pleasantly surprised that there have not been particularly negative traffic impacts. But you want to speak to that?
I can actually take a sec on each park. In Central Park, what we're proposing to do is close all the drives north of 72nd, which we've already been doing in the summertime for 2 years now. And so we've had a good opportunity to see how it's affected the roadways, and we think it's going to be fine. We're going to do some signal adjustments, and we're going to extend express bus lane on 5th Avenue to help make sure buses can get through. So we have good experience already with Central Park. And here in Prospect Park, as the mayor has said, the traffic volumes on the West Drive have become only about 200 cars an hour, which we think the local street network can absorb very easily.
Just to follow up on that, since you're so close to being car-free, why not just eliminate cars entirely? Why the phased approach?
Well, and just again, we'll go through both parks. For Central Park, there's still a very high car volume that goes through basically the southern part of the park that touches in the most congested part of Midtown Manhattan. And so there we're still talking Probably more like 400, 500 cars per hour. And again, as the mayor has said, as we've progressively made the parks more and more car-free, drivers have found other ways to get around and traffic patterns have changed. But for now, we don't want to spill all those cars into the street. There are safety considerations to doing that for pedestrians and other motorists. There's also the flow of a lot of bus traffic. So that's why for now we're going to take this step of making the great majority of Central Park permanently car-free, but continue to monitor and see how the southern part works. Likewise, on Prospect Park, the volumes of cars that are going on the East Drive are twice as high as they are on the West Drive. So, and they're also the same considerations of those cars on the local streets, a lot of bus traffic, a lot of pedestrians. So as we now will have permanently no cars on the West Drive, that will presumably start to change commuting patterns, and we'll monitor and we'll see. But for now, we think, as the mayor said, this is a big, big step. We think making much more of both parks car-free, but making sure we're also keeping the surrounding streets where there would potentially be a lot of congestion and traffic safe.
Thank you. This for the commissioner. You're going to see probably less traffic volume in the summertime because people are away and people are on vacation. Are you concerned, though, when people come back in September and school is back, that this ancillary traffic in the neighborhood is going to be a problem?
Yeah, again, as we've seen, because we've now been monitoring, we monitor summer levels and we get to monitor fall and winter levels. There's certainly traffic increases once school comes back into session, but what we've seen around both parks as we've studied the traffic is we think it's very manageable. And again, when we make a change like this, we work with signal timing and we work with our partners at NYPD to do enforcement. So we're feeling good that the traffic levels have gotten pretty low and we're gonna manage it well.
Do Grace first. Go ahead.
You're here celebrating sort of the removal of many cars from city parks. Your administration has talked about replacing horse-drawn carriages in central parks with electric cars. Can you explain why you think regular cars should be out of the parks, but it's appropriate for electric cars to be in it?
They're very different things. What we're talking about with vehicular traffic is a much higher rate of speed, and obviously we have a lot more of them currently. You heard the numbers just here in Prospect Park per hour. What we aspire to do is to create a small, modest industry with the replica electric cars or some other good alternative that will achieve for tourists the same kind of things that the horse carriages do today. That would be a negligible impact both because of the number of vehicles and because they'd be going very slowly on purpose so people can see. You know, that's what they come here to do.
Do you have any numbers on how many cars now use Central Park drives north of 72nd?
Yeah, actually I have a number. In 1991, the peak travel there was 2,500 cars. We're now down to around 400 on the West Drive and around 300 on the East Drive. Yes. Yeah, correct. Yes.
Okay, on topic, going once. On topic, going twice. Off topic, off topic. Yes.
You mentioned more resources earlier. Can you expand on that?
Sure. You mean in terms of?
Of protecting churches?
Yes. This is a protocol we have. We've certainly had to do this, sadly, in the case of attacks on Jewish communities all over the world. And we make it a point to reinforce key community locations when that has occurred. We, in this case, are going to reinforce key African-American religious institutions and be very watchful for anything that suggests any other type of attack. We have no particular specific evidence that that is in the offing, but it's a precaution that we take consistently with houses of worship.
Does there seem to be any end in sight to the Albany drama?
Does there seem to be what?
Any end in sight?
Well, look, I think folks in Albany have to come to a point of decision. I think there's a lot of pressure on them from their constituents to do so, so I assume they will.
How is the Albany drama affecting the city your budget negotiations with the city council? Are things sort of on hold while you wait for?
No, we're two things going at the same time. We're continuing daily conversations with the city council, and that's moving unabated, and those have been very productive.
Yesterday, a man who allegedly told federal authorities that he pledged allegiance to the terror group ISIL was arrested on Staten Island, and understandably, a lot of locals are concerned about this. I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about the incident yesterday and how it relates to your overall
terror?
Obviously, these efforts undertaken by the Joint Terrorism Task Force and particularly with the leadership of the FBI, so I want, in terms of any specifics, for you to refer your questions to the FBI and the NYPD. The broad answer is that there's an extraordinary and very consistent effort to protect this city, that this is an example of the effectiveness of that effort, and it continues every single day. So I'll let the law enforcement folks speak to the details, but even though I understand why it causes real concern for everyone in this city, I think people should also recognize this is yet another example of our law enforcement officials being entirely on top of the situation and stopping a problem before it happens.
Mr. Mayor, you mentioned earlier that you hope that the issue of Charleston brings about to light the difficulties with mental health. I know that you are a huge supporter of that and had a rollout last fall about programs throughout the city. Can you tell us how that's going and
yes.
going on differently that we can discuss?
Absolutely. Well, in this budget that we look forward to passing in the coming days, there's a substantial increase. I think it's $78 million in city funding for mental health programs. We understand that so many of the challenges we face with mental health in general and with mental health problems that lead to violence. So many of these, again, are problems that are in many cases knowable. There's indications early. It's particularly true with our young people. That's why we're so focused on bringing mental health services into our schools, and that will be true in all of our community schools, the new community school program. What I aspire to here, and working obviously very closely with the First Lady who's leading this effort, is to create an actual mental health system in this city. We have a lot of very good work being done at the community level in terms of mental health. We do not have a fully coordinated system. Our different agencies, NYPD, DOE, corrections, HRA, so many of them have, of course, Department of Health have an important role to play on mental health, but it's still not coordinated the way it should be. So the First Lady and her colleagues are working on this. By the end of the summer, we're going to have a lot more to say on how we're changing the approach. But I think as a question for this city, for the state, for this nation, we've got to look at this interconnection of mental health and acts of violence and recognize if we don't take a proactive approach, we are not protecting people as well as we should, and we have an opportunity to do much better.
Mr. Mayor, have you heard of any complaints about landlords trying to take advantage of the expiration?
Again, we've had a huge amount of call volume to 311 and great concerns from tenants. So far, I don't have today's numbers from yesterday about whether there were specific complaints about harassment. But I think the fear is very real because, as you saw yesterday with the announcement with the Attorney General, even with rent regulation not having expired, we have too many instances of not just harassment or displacement of tenants, but criminal acts in the name of displacing tenants for a profit. We know this problem exists, and it exists on a grand scale. That's why we're putting $36 million into legal aid to fight it. So people have every reason to be concerned right now, but we'll keep you updated as the situation unfolds.
Mr. Mayor, the Speaker of the City Council said she'll do her bail fund with or without you. Is she going to have to do it without you?
Again, we're in a budget discussion, and all items are being discussed. I believe in the need for bail reform, and there's several different ways to do that. We're particularly focused on the some of the efforts to have a supervised release effort for very low-level crimes that we've seen done effectively before. We don't want to see people going to jail simply because they can't afford a small amount of bail for a minor offense. But there's more than one way to address that issue. We'll continue to work on that with the council.
Mr. Mayor, regarding the Verizon audit that just came out, what power does the city have to actually hold Verizon accountable beyond just sort of reporting on the slow pace of progress?
Like any other franchise agreement, we have an opportunity to follow up legally if other means don't work. So we have a contract with Verizon. If we are not convinced that they are keeping to that contract, and we're going to use every amicable means we have to resolve these issues and to get them to do what they said they would do and provide broadband access to all New Yorkers who need it. But if that is not happening, we of course reserve the right to take legal action.
Mr. Mayor,
Yeah.
back on the bail issue, what alternatives are you proposing or are you thinking about instead of no bail or instead of incarceration?
Again, there's a number of proposals out there. Judge Lippman has proposals, the City Council has proposals. I think they're all kindred in that we're all trying to get at this problem of not seeing folks end up on Rikers when there's an appropriate alternative. As I said, the supervised release option is one that we see a lot of evidence as having been very effective for low-level offenses. But we're going to consider anything that we think will work. The council always has the opportunity. If they think something is worthy, they have some resources at their disposal. They obviously will make their own judgment. But we're very adamant about getting to whatever combination of bail reform we think will work.
Mr. Mayor, do you have a message for Albany in regard to rent regulations?
Get the job done. People are waiting, and they're understandably deeply concerned because they don't know what the future brings. Ms. Hinton? I say we're done. We're done. Thank you, everyone.